Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Today we are looking at some new malicious compliance stories. Please let me know what you think about today's video in the comment section below. The first story is called She Wants to Do It Herself. Fresh out of college, I lived with 2 roommates in a townhouse. For the most part, I was the designated roommate to call or email our landlord every time there was an issue. And there were a lot of issues. One day, something broke in the whiny's roommate's bathroom that was totally irrelevant to me and the other roommate. I offered to call the landlord about it, but whiny roommate insists she wants to deal with it because she wants to tell off our landlord. Day after day, whiny roommate complains about the issue. Day after day, whiny roommate tells us how she's going to rip a strip off the landlord about this. Day after day, whiny roommate does not contact the landlord about it. Day after day, the other roommate and I maliciously comply with her refusal of help. Weeks go by with whiny roommate getting madder and madder. But she will not contact the landlord about the issue. Something else breaks in the house and I call the landlord about that specific thing and only that one thing. The landlord comes, fixes the specific thing and leaves. Whiny roommate freaked out. She had a full-on screaming tantrum, lost her mind on me, locked herself in her room and did not talk to us for days. After that we never again heard about whiny roommate's issue, which she never did contact the landlord about. The next story is called Cover Up. I had some friends over, one guy with his wife, the other 3 were female. One of the women, we call her Jane, had a baby 2 months ago and this is the first time that we have seen her. She was away to see her family when she had her baby, so this was a small unplanned baby shower for her. After an hour or so, her baby got fuzzy and she started breastfeeding her baby. One of the friends started looking upset. She asked, "Don't you think you should cover up, especially since there's a man here?" We all just kind of looked at her. My male friend said it's okay, his wife breastfeeds too. And his wife nods her head. Well, this upset my friend and she looked towards me and said to get a blanket. So I got her one and she said, "No, it's to cover up with." So I did as she asked. I opened up the blanket, all the while all the other people were giving me a strange look, and I covered my friend's head and sat back down. My friend got mad and took it off and said that Jane needs to cover. She gets up and tries to put the blanket on Jane, but I finally had enough and said if she didn't like seeing someone breastfeed, then she can either look away or leave. Yeah, she got mad, saying how I am choosing Jane over her and that she knew me longer. I told her that she should know by now that I don't believe in covering up regardless of where you are, and that it's my house. I also told her that she knows what a pain it is trying to cover up a breast in a screaming wiggle baby's mouth. Yeah, she is mad at me, but the rest of us had a good time visiting. The third story is called You Requested a Man. A few years back I worked in a factory through an agency. A worker quit and I offered to take his station until a proper replacement could be found and trained. This job involved lifting 50-pound equipment over your head several times a day and moving heavy machinery around. I was a small female. A bit stronger now, so I had to get a coworker to help me sometimes. It was doable for this short period. Anywho, the factory owner asked the agency for a man, because it's a lot of heavy lifting and that's a man's job. He told the agency to just give whichever guy they picked a 6-month contract. The agency sent a 55-year-old man with back issues who wasn't allowed to lift more than 20 pounds. For anyone wondering, it was definitely intentional. The woman who ran the agency was a big feminist and promoter of equal opportunities. And for anyone wondering what happened afterward, not much really. The guy was happy to get hired at his age, and whenever a supervisor complained, he would refer them to his doctor. I left the company before his 6 months were over, so sadly I don't know what happened after that. But I do know that the agency is still operational and hasn't been sued. I hope you enjoyed today's video so far. If you liked the video, don't forget to press the like button, it really helps. And now, on to the next story. The next story is called Big Mama. So I was working in a call center as a level 1 tech support for a big American telecommunication company. I was fairly new when this happened. A call comes in. After the initial spiel, I asked, "Whom do I have the pleasure of speaking with today?" "John something." Where I live, we don't address strangers by their first name, but in the training I was told that it's common in the US, so I followed up, "May I call you John?" A clearly annoyed voice replied, "No. Call me Big Mama." And you can bet that I did. Every sentence on that call started with, "So, Big Mama, let's start with power cycling your modem." "Big Mama, could you unplug the power cord?" "Thank you, Big Mama." "Big Mama, can you let me know once the broadband light is back on?" And so on. He was clearly taken aback, as he was not expecting me to follow with his request. The call took a bit longer, maybe about 20 minutes, and for the entirety of it I could hear his, I presume, girlfriend or wife in the background laughing. In the end, as the issue was actually resolved, he kinda embraced it, and while saying bye at the end, he said, much to my amusement, "Big Mama out." I'm not gonna lie, I was young, new at the job, and actually feared that I would get in trouble for this. But apart from a few confused looks from my colleagues that could not help to overhear me saying it, nothing bad came from it. The last story is called, "You have to cover your hours." I have had many run-ins with this manager, but this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Deciding what to do with my life was tough, and after I dropped out of university I decided I wanted to join the Air Force. In the lead up to joining and throughout the application process, I worked for a health club as a lifeguard and barista in the coffee shop/bar. When I went for the interview for the job, I very clearly stated my intentions and said my priority was joining the Air Force. The interviewer, the pool manager, appreciated the honesty and gave me the job on a 0-hour contract to allow flexibility. A few weeks into the job, the pool manager asked if I wanted more hours, as the bar manager was looking for more staff to fill some gaps. Slowly but surely, I started doing less and less lifeguard shifts and more bar shifts. This suited me more, as I got to speak to the clients more and the hours were more friendly to my lifestyle. Here is where the problem started. As I neared the end of my application process, I had to attend a 3-day course for selection. And I was given the dates of the course only 2 weeks prior to the course start date. As my manager wasn't in, I forwarded the course invite to him and said not to put me onto the shift rota for that week. Along with this, I left a note on his desk saying I had sent him an email. The next afternoon, I arrived for my evening shift and see the new rota for the next month had been released. I had been put onto 2 morning shifts and 1 evening shift over my course dates. I immediately go and see the bar manager and explain I had sent him an email and I could not work that week. He told me that I would need to find cover if I didn't want the hours, as the rota was final. I agreed to try my best to find cover. However, if I couldn't, I was still going to the selection course. He agreed to this and I started work. During the next 10 days, I found cover for the first morning shift and the 1 evening shift. However, that middle morning shift proved to be tough. I told the bar manager of the progress and stated I had not found cover for the 1 shift. And after a long discussion, he stated that it was my responsibility to fulfill my hours. Clearly he had conveniently forgotten that I was on a 0-hour contract. I smiled at this and stated I completely agree with him there and went home. The pre-selection course starts and at the end of the first day I receive a phone call from the bar manager asking who was covering my next morning shift. I replied to him how I had not found cover and that I had told him this already a number of times. I received a barrage down the phone about my attitude towards my job and how I will fail in life if I keep this attitude. No matter how much I tell him that I'm over 100 miles away on a selection course and that there was no chance of me being in work the next morning, he still said, "I expect you in work the next morning, or don't bother coming back." I called my other manager and explained the conversation I just had. She very helpfully insinuated that I would be welcome back to the lifeguard team until I start my new career. She gave me lots of hours by the pool where I had a complete view of the hectic understaffed bar that I was supposed to be working behind. And to add insult to injury, I found through to the bar to order a nice cool glass of water and watched the bar manager walk to the poolside to drop it off for me. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.